What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, and 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I host the only online show in the world for fathers and dads. It's sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And as part of that collaboration of Dad Central and Dove Men Care, I've been able to reach out directly or indirectly to over 75,000 fathers around the world this year. I'm very humbled by that. And I'm also the board chair for the Global Food and Drink Initiative, which is a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in the diaspora. They're doing their thing in food, wine, and travel. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Hope everyone is keeping okay and keeping safe. What have I been up to? Well, I'm still doing a lot of online conversations, but recently, we're broadcasting live on October 13th. Yesterday, a new social app was launched called Wisdom. And I've been part of the beta testing for about 2 months of it. And if you're into social apps or trying to, something new, and you're on iOS, give it a try. The app was actually founded by a Black African lady who is based in London, England, and she's quite the tech person. This is her second tech startup, and her and I had a conversation on her app yesterday, and she has given me the go-ahead to book a conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show. So sometime in the next 2 weeks, please make sure you subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show either on YouTube, especially on YouTube, and on Facebook, and you'll get notified when we're going to have the founder of the social app, Wisdom, on the Dr. Vibe Show. So that's in the future. Let's deal with the here and now. We're having a return friend back on. Serena Wills is a native of Queens, New York, and currently lives in the Washington, D.C. She holds a BA in Policy Studies from Syracuse University and an MPA from Virginia Tech, MA in Health and Wellness Coaching, and Postbaccalaureate. I can't even read that word. You got to tell me. You can pronounce it. When she comes on, she's going to tell me how to pronounce that. Certificate in Workplace Wellness from Maryland University of Integrative Health. She is also a National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach through the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches and Associated Certified Coach through International Coach Federation. I know about the ICF. I'm a member of the ICF and is the owner of Divine Wryte Wellness, her health and wellness coaching practice. Overall, she's a self-published author, poet, health, wellness coach, a publishing coach, and a workplace wellness innovator. She has 3 books: The Awakening, Pieces of Life, Volume 2, released in 2019 in December; Crying Tears of Teal, released in the fall of 2017; and her first poetry book titled Reconstruction, Pieces of Life, Volume 1, which was released in 2014. So she isn't a fly-by-night poet, by the way. You can see since 2014, 3 books. Okay, just want to put that out there. And is in several anthologies. So she's also a health and wellness writer for blogs and other online print publications. She designs and facilitates workshops on self-publishing to assist aspiring writers and publishing authors, and on health and wellness topics to assist people with stress reduction and how to realistically obtain optimal health. She is a mother of a beautiful son who's occupied. When she first came on the Dr. Vibe Show years ago, we had to find ways to get him away for half an hour, but he's got his Bluetooth, he's got this, he's got that. He don't care about us anymore. And she's an advocate for ovarian cancer, GYN cancers, and Lyme disease research, and is a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. So you can discover poetry, numerous publications, authors, talks, blogs, and health and wellness coaching practice and offerings on her website, serenawills.com and divinewryte.com. So she is back. We have not seen her for a minute because she's been doing so much. Serena Wills, welcome back in the house.
Hey, how are you?
Outstanding, thank you. How are you doing?
I am good. And that word you couldn't pronounce, it is a tricky one. It's Post Baccalaureate Certificate.
Yeah, forget it. I'm done. All right.
Just say have a PBC in.
Okay, I like that. That's when acronyms come good. Acronyms come good. PDCN. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Good. When did you get that?
I wrapped that up July of this year. And
Wow,
I actually took
congratulations.
thank you. And I took the ICF exam just last month.
Ooh.
And I'm now,
How was that?
whew.
Okay, all right.
The blessings is that, it's virtual, so you could take it from home.
Yes.
And, but I tell people the test is tricky. It's the application process. That took me months and months to like gather and put everything together. They want a certain amount of coaching hours, and they actually want you to record a coaching
I went through,
session.
what's actually interesting, Serena?
It's a lot.
I've gone through all that process. I haven't written the test yet.
Oh my God. And then they only give you a window. So once you
started, 3 hours.
Yeah, it's 3 hours long, and it's like 150 something questions, and but it's great. They tell you results right away. So I was in my house last month, and I did it right when Jordan was in his second or third week of school. So things were still kind of calm a little bit. So I was like, let me do it now before school really kicks in. And I passed. So
how, just out of curiosity, how much preparation, we're going to talk offline about this, because well, long story short, people may or may not know this. I'm a certified coach.
Yeah.
I got my certification back in June 2015.
Yeah.
And the school that I graduated from, I have a really good coaching mentor there. He's been fantastic, and he was been bothering me for the last 2 years. You got to become a mentor coach for school. You got to become a mentor coach for school. And I said, Well, I gave in February this year.
Yeah, I remember.
And I absolutely love it.
See, it's amazing. That's my next step. I want to be a mentor coach and help.
It's so much fun
coming up.
Yeah. So every Monday night, people, if you're bored and you're thinking, what's Dr. Vibe doing? Why isn't he online? Dr. Vibe is doing a teleclass with anywhere from 8 to 17 students from all around the world, talking about different aspects of coaching. And I've been doing that since February, and I absolutely love it.
That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. And
well, be proud of me when I pass the test, because now he's wondering when you're taking the test.
It is instantaneous. Like they don't wait. Like soon as you close that. And It's instant.
I'm gonna have to get you to do some coaching with me about this test.
Yeah, I can only say but so much, because they make you sign an agreement where you can't divulge.
Oh no, I don't want to divulge. I just want tips.
Yeah, I tell
preparation
people,
tips.
I graduated 3 years ago now, so a lot of our master's program was based on ICF competencies, which was great. So I still had a lot of that in my mind, but I went back just to kind of like refresh, and that's what I tell people: just print out those competencies and just refresh yourself. Yeah, there you go. Refresh yourself.
Right on my table. Thank you very much.
There's nothing wrong with refreshing and knowing like the ethics, code of conduct. And I tell people, because I'm a board certified coach, they're different. So their ethics is they have similar ethics and code of conducts, but they're different at the same time. So but it was challenging. 150 something questions is going to be challenging. So
I know
my son totally left me alone, and when I came out the room, he saw me with a big smile, and he said, "Let's order dinner, Mom."
And what'd you order?
Yeah, of course, I have to pay, because he's only 10. But we ordered from my favorite restaurant in the DC area, Busboys and Poets. So yeah, Busboys and Poets is a blend of food, art, and poetry. Shout outs to Andy. He's the founder and owner of Busboys and Poets. They've been around for years now, and they have several locations, and they have made it and thrived through the pandemic. They really
wonderful.
Pivoted.
Well, I'd love to have him on the show.
You know what?
He's
dynamic. You definitely need to have him on the show.
It's actually interesting. I should speak to. I know it's interesting. One of my closest associates, everyone, is the couple that run a magazine called BuyBlacks.com. It is the #1 magazine, Black Canadian magazine in the world. #1. number one.
Wow.
And earlier on this year, they had their first ever BuyBlacks.com restaurant week. So they got restaurants from right across Canada to come up with special menus for that week. And Roger and Camille, who run the BuyBlacks.com, Roger asked me, hey, would you like to do some interviews with some of the restaurateurs? I said, okay. I said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you food. I'm going to, what?
As soon as you said that, I'm like, there goes the free food. There we go.
Yeah. And Serena, no lie, I never thought people would find me eating food on an Instagram live.
I did. I loved it. I was like, yes. If I lived in Canada, I'd be there like within an hour. Like you made it look so, especially the one where you were sitting on your porch.
Yes.
And the guy was,
that was the mob seafood, the shrimp boil.
Yes.
That was, And so they're gonna be doing another edition, I think in November. Okay. So again, follow me on whatever social media platform, and we're looking to expand the number of restaurants. We're hopefully going as far out east as Nova Scotia and PI for if you know Canadian geography. So I don't know if I'm going to get a Uber from Nova Scotia, but I said whatever. Or maybe you can So that's come up, and I know Serena, you're a foodie.
I'm a foodie, because I have so many restrictions. I naturally became a foodie. I already loved food before the gluten-free, dairy-free, alcohol-free. So you have to even be more creative, So that's why I really look for restaurants that cater to my restrictions, and I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about being glutened, or if they're going to throw cheese in the mix by accident, or too much sugar. And that's why, like, Busboys and Poets is one. I go to a lot of the halal restaurants in the area. There's a couple of Thai food places I trust. And I know that they use like rice noodles and they say they're gluten-free, and I believe them because I haven't gotten sick. So yeah, I'm a foodie.
I guess we're going to have to do a separate segment on food.
Yeah, and my son is a foodie too. He's a rice connoisseur. Like he will tell you about good rice and bad rice. Like he'll say, Mom, we're not getting rice from this restaurant anymore because it sticks too much. Like he knows the texture, how it's supposed to taste, how it's supposed to like. He's only 10, So that's the other thing that happened since we last met. He turned 10, so he's a decade old. Wow. And he turned 10 in August, but he's a foodie. So
this is terrible because people are gonna go, you folks have spent 13 minutes talking nothing about. Sorry, okay, so we're gonna pivot. All right, pivot.
It's okay. Our beloved friend Tara, God rest her soul, she's a foodie, too. So I know she's in heaven. She was my foodie match in friendships. So love you, Tara Lassard. She loved food.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We are gonna do a food segment. Just chop it up and talk about food because I'm slowly but surely going non-meat.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we can talk.
I'm about 4 days a week non-meat right now. Okay. So slowly but surely it's happening, it's slowly, and I'm not missing it. So that's the most important thing.
I can't eat red meat. I haven't eaten pork in over 20 years.
I rarely eat pork. The only time I eat pork is when I'm in Jamaica.
Oh, got you. The red meat was just several years ago with Lyme disease. It just actually makes me sick. I just can't even digest it anymore. So, and I don't even miss it.
Yeah, let's get out of this. So we're going from red meat to ovarian cancer. Hungry, here we go. So really, I don't know if you're going to rather stick with the food. So what has been going on in the world of ovarian cancer since we last spoke about it?
Yes, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me back.
Always.
It's never too late to talk about ovarian cancer awareness. Just for those who don't know, September was actually the awareness month for ovarian cancer awareness, and also gynecological cancer awareness was in September. So the overall GYN cancer, but it's also just specifically ovarian cancer awareness. I am wearing a lot of teal tonight because the color teal represents ovarian cancer awareness as well as cervical cancer awareness. So that is their color. So if you see people with teal ribbons or just teal anything, I've met people with teal Harley Davidson bikes because they actually painted their bikes in honor of a loved one in teal. And they always, like, sometimes when we used to have races before COVID, a lot of the Teal bikers would come out, and they would be the ones to start the race off. So that was really cool.
Nice.
So just a little update. Things are still virtual. Like, a lot of the organizations had their conferences. I was so happy that they had conferences this year. They just pivoted and everything was virtual, and they actually got bigger attendance because they're virtual. So you now have people that might not have been able to usually travel because they're undergoing treatment of ovarian cancer. A lot are still very afraid, even if they're vaccinated, not vaccinated, they're afraid to travel. So, because even with the vaccinations, we have now the variants out there too. So, and those are more contagious. So they were like, we're just going to keep it completely virtual and see how we do. And it was great. Different chapters from, different organizations did local things with their chapters, but virtually. And they said they were able to get more participants, more doctors were involved, in these conferences, because now you could just go home, and tune into the conference, which was in the evening, which was great as well. So, one thing about ovarian cancer awareness, now we're in the world of COVID. So I know last time we talked, about ovarian cancer, there was no vaccination. There was no vaccine out. So the one thing I've been asking people, just in general, those that have chronic illnesses, but particularly, cancer, the big question is, are you getting the vaccine? Are you not getting it? I never ask why. Why is kind of like an offensive question. We learned that in coaching, right? Dr. Vibe, you never ask why.
Why?
The person just puts up a wall and they're like, why they have to ask me why? So
exactly.
So it varies. And I was talking about this in June, or May or June with the Lyme disease show that I had done. It really depends on the person. I've known quite a lot I've talked to that have ovarian cancer and GYN cancers. Some have been fully vaccinated. They were able to get full dosages, whether that's the 2-dose series. Here in the United States is Moderna and Pfizer. That's the 2-dose series. And then the Johnson & Johnson is the 1-shot deal series. Right. Those are the only vaccines we have. I know in different areas of the world, it depends on where you are. There's other vaccines, coming about. There are some that I've spoken to that actually got like the first dose and became very sick. They became very ill getting the first dose, and they couldn't even. They give you a certain window to get that second shot, and some just they said we can't even do it, And the one thing I have learned, doctors are saying, I love the neutral doctors who are saying talk to your medical professionals about what is best for you at this time. They'll look at where you are with your treatment. With ovarian cancer, I'll talk about treatments, a little later. It varies. Some women are getting chemotherapy, some may be getting radiation. Some it's called localized therapeutic services, meaning the tumors, they could get right to them. They're operable and they're able to remove the tumors from their ovaries and reproductive system, or some are just getting full out hysterectomies. So it really depends on, where you are in your journey. So again, I tell people, being an advocate, you have a doctor that's trustworthy, that you trust, a medical professional or practitioner, work closely with them and see how you're doing, but that's the one thing I've been hearing just a lot from organizations and survivors and those who are currently undergoing treatment is that they're just being cautious. They're talking to their medical professionals, or some just went out, got the vaccine. They were fine, completely fine, no reactions or anything.
And thank you for the update. In the ovarian cancer awareness community, have the opinions been very strong when it comes to pro jab or no jab?
It's very it's mixed. It's very mixed. Because you also have those that have medical conditions. So, for example, a very good friend of mine, she's my best friend. She doesn't have cancer, thank God. She has a blood clot disorder. So, for example, her doctors were saying we have to do a series of blood work on you to see where you are. She also has a heart condition. So they wanted to make sure she was going to be okay after getting a vaccine. So she went through when I say a series of blood work, we're talking like 17 tubes of blood. She went to the hematologist because there were tests that she had never done before. So she said with COVID, and that's what one thing I've been hearing is that COVID has been making people do things more that they were putting off. So she's like, I've been wanting to get all this testing done, see where I'm at, how is my, blood? Is the blood still too thin? Is it thick? So she had to get a battery of blood tests. I was the same way. I had finally was able to get labs done this year, and I got 12 tubes of blood taken out Labor Day weekend. So I was like, happy Labor Day to me. Let me go home and sit down somewhere, okay? And one of those was, my doctor wanted to see if the COVID antibodies were going to show up. So I did get the vaccine since I last talked to you. I remember that was also a conversation. That's a whole other conversation besides this one. But that was just like one little tiny tube compared to the rest, because I just typically get that every year. I couldn't get my labs really done last year because of COVID.
Right.
But yeah, even she was able to get the vaccine, but it was after, her doctors chimed in, getting tests done, because it's not like the flu shot where it's been around for years and decades where how you're going to react. And there's different kinds of flu shots. So you say, okay, I'll get this one versus that one.
Sure.
So that's what I've been hearing in the community with ovarian cancer and GYN cancer, is that it's a mixed bag. You hear some that were like, oh, I was the first one there in January and I got my, my dose. And then there's some where they're hesitant. They don't know, they're on the fence. Some are saying, their medical condition is not really allowing them to get the vaccine just yet. And then we have the ones where it's their religious belief. That is their belief. They're not going to get it, period. So it is very mixed. And that's just across the gambit. It's just all over. So it's going to probably be that way for like the next few years, I'm sure.
Wow. Do you know anyone in the community has refused to get the jab?
With cancer or not cancer?
With
cancer, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I know a couple of people who have cancer, and they were the first ones, because that's the one thing, you're on the list where you take priority status.
Sure.
Because of your condition, and they were the first ones, and they were actually my inspiration. I was like, these are folks who are getting chemotherapy, in and out, rehab, you name it, and they got the 2-dose series. I don't know any of them that got the Johnson & Johnson.
Right.
I only know like actually 2 people or 3 people that got Johnson & Johnson, but yeah, the ones I have spoken to, they got it. So I haven't talked to anyone that I know that has cancer that has not gotten it.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do, folks, we are going to take a short little break. And when we come back from our break, I'm going to ask Serena how, it's the pandemic has been on for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And, how has it impacted those in the ovarian cancer community? Because it's like we're looking 18 months. And I think things may have certainly have probably changed.
Oh, yeah. I have some updates too about
some
things that have changed. Like as of recently, it shocked me, like, oh my gosh. So.
All right. So we're going to take a quick little break and we'll come right back. Keep it locked. Dr. Wryte speaking with Serena Wills about ovarian cancer awareness. Back in a minute. Go. So ladies, what is going on?
Just that he needs to get it together. Sick of that. I am sick of it. Something is seriously wrong with you. Why is he still there? She shouldn't be near Congress. You need an exorcism, because I don't know what is wrong with you people. It was so powerful. And I really wish everybody would stop bowing down to this.
What is he talking about? This makes no sense.
They know they are not the oppressed party, but they love being the superior ones and they want to flaunt it.
So it was always made political, particularly for people of color and the LGBTQ population.
We end off every episode with a cockroach. This episode's cockroach.
Everything.
Everything?
All the things are going on.
All the things?
Mm-hmm.
You like that?
I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I have yet to watch a whole show with them. I have to sit down. It's hard to watch things about politics when you're living in it, because I'm right here in the DC area. I'm here. Yeah. So it's like, but they put such a twist on it where it's like, I can watch them. I can definitely watch them.
Yeah, we're on basically every Saturday night at 9 p.m.
Yeah, I see that. And I give them both a shout out. Thank y'all for covering us in such a way, because, you know, we always get the dry and dark way here especially like I am here. I was the one on lockdown in January when the January 6th riots happened. I mean, we're here in the DC area. So yeah, I appreciate their take on things.
Oh yeah. Well, we are we're in conversation back channel, all three of us, of upping our game a little bit, but we're talking about something to raise the amplify up the bar, but we'll get to that. So people, if you were watching or listening, that is the promo for State of Things with Aisha K. Staggers and Jill Jones, two incredible ladies who give their take on things political and non-political, mostly going on in the United States. Aisha K. Staggers, great writer, great publicist, long time Prince fan. And Jill Jones, for those who don't know, Jill Jones was a member of Prince's entourage for 10 years.
Really?
Yes, and actually was in the movie Purple Rain and was in the movie Graffiti Bridge.
Don't tell me that, because I went to 10 Prince concerts. So me and my best friend are diehards. Like, I went when I was pregnant with Jordan. I was like, and I had to go to the bathroom. I'm like, I can't go. I have to wait until this show is over.
Serena, please tell me you're joking.
That was No, because you don't know who he's going to bring out on stage.
Yes, or who he's going to bring up on stage, like from the audience and all that too, right?
I mean, that was the night Sheila E. was like there, and I was like, I'm glad I didn't go to the bathroom because I would have missed her.
Well, I'm sorry to mention this, but I actually met him and had a one-on-one 15-minute conversation with him.
I have ticket stubs next to me on my desk. Like, they are laminated. They are.
Oh my goodness.
Had I known that was going to be our last time seeing him alive. Like, we had no idea. None.
Well, I remember one of the concerts I saw him and he opened up with erotic City. I said, I'm done. I don't need to see anything else. Him and Sheila E. singing it live to track and playing basketball, shooting basketball hoops on the stage. I just went, that was cray.
That could be another show in itself. We need to all come back on Dr. Vibe show and talk about Prince. Okay.
Okay. Well, you know what? Well, I'm going to let Jill talk about Prince.
Okay. I'll come on.
I'll certainly have Jill and Aisha. They have so many knowledge, and they're still very involved in doing Prince. Prince threads, and they're very much involved. And Jill, like, was it Purple Rain? Was it Purple Rain? I don't know if it's Purple Rain or 1999 was nominated for a Grammy last year, and she was part of the project that did the reissue of it.
Awesome.
She was behind that. So, and a great singer in her own right. Also, people are gonna say, "There they go again. They're drifting." Okay, so let's bring it back.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so see, there's two new programs. We're gonna talk about food, and we're gonna have a Prince show. Yes. Okay, good.
All right.
Yeah, so let's talk about what's been going on, and you've got some updates for us in regards to ovarian cancer awareness.
Yeah, so just a little bit for those who don't even know what ovarian cancer is, because there might be some new people who are new to ovarian cancer. They've heard about it, but, you know, especially men, because they're like, oh, it doesn't pertain to me. Well, it does. Okay, so you can't get ovarian cancer, but you can pass a mutated gene on to your daughter who can get ovarian cancer. But ovarian cancer is a cancer within a woman's reproductive system. Of course, the ovaries, ovarian cancer. Unfortunately, it is what is called a very silent and deadly cancer. A lot of women are not diagnosed. And when I say a lot of women, we're talking about 75 to 80% of the women diagnosed are already in stage 3 and 4 of this cancer.
Wow.
And that number hasn't changed. Like, I wish I could come back on a Dr. Vibe show and say, guess what? That number went down. There's still only 14 to 20% of women who are in the early stages, stage 1 and 2. Predominantly stage 3 and 4 that's the advanced stages. My mother was stage 4 ovarian cancer. She was diagnosed August 2009, and she thought, she was going through menopause. Most of the women who have ovarian cancer are in their menopausal years or post-menopause. But she was in the thick of menopause, thinking it was menopause because a lot of the symptoms mimic menopause, until her symptoms exasperated and it didn't make sense. And 6 months after diagnosis, she passed away. So we didn't have years with her, And that's the case that I hear from so many women where that's the story, or families, that's the story of their loved ones. And you hear about those who defeated the cancer. We have a beloved friend, Tara, who unfortunately is not here with us anymore, but she beat ovarian cancer and she was stage 4. And she was initially diagnosed in her late 30s, early 40s. With the first round, and then she beat ovarian cancer, and then she had what is called she actually had another type of cancer, pelvic cancer, and that was the cancer that she passed away from. But she was told you only have so many months to live from ovarian cancer, and she fired those doctors, found a new set of doctors, and
sounds like her.
Yep, and lived years. And then when I met her, she was in remission. That was April of 2018 when I had met her. But she just passed December 2019. Yeah. So this December will already be 2 years that she's been gone. It doesn't feel like it.
Question. Yeah. What percentage, if you know this number, what percentage of women overcome this?
Oh, yeah, that is. So it depends on the years. So now they have it broken down by, they monitor them 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. And it depends on the country you're in. Like, for example, I just know globally, 2018, and some of the numbers have not been updated in a while because of COVID. Usually these numbers, I should have the 2019 numbers by now. They're still operating off of 2018 numbers. Globally, ovarian cancer, there was 300,000 new cases a year. So we're not talking about the pre-existing cases that were still, this is just brand new cases of diagnosis. There is, like I said, 70 to 80% of the women are stage 3, stage 4. So in the United States, just to give you an example, 21,000 will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer, new cases. But they say within that same year, we're going to lose close to 14,000. And that's of all colors. I don't have the exact numbers of survival rates. I know it's not as high as we want it to be, because 1 in 78 women in their lifetime can get ovarian cancer. And actually they could get cancer, period. And then they can get 1 in 78 have a risk of getting it in their lifetime. 1 in 108 have a risk of dying from ovarian. This is just ovarian cancer. This is not cancer in general.
Right.
But yeah, it is tricky because, like I said, Tara was stage 4, but she was considered operable. So they were able to operate on her. My mother was stage 4. She was inoperable. So that's the thing about this cancer. There's no screenings. So that's the other part. That's the problem. There's no screenings. There's no, I can go to this doctor and get my screening for ovarian cancer to make sure I can't get it or I don't have it.
How, being someone that's familiar with this challenge, because I don't want to call it a sickness or disease, this challenge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you, or how do women find out? Is there any signs of this happening to them, or being afflicted with this?
There are symptoms to look out for, but like I said, some of the symptoms are so vague, and I think that's why my mother missed the mark, because she thought, I have cramps, I have bloating, I'm fatigued. Those three right there are symptoms of ovarian cancer. Well, a woman who is in her 20s, 30s, and 40s, because you can get it as a child. You can get it as a baby. As long as you have ovaries in your body, you can get ovarian cancer. It does not discriminate. So that's the challenge, is that there's no accurate test. There's no accurate screening, because when you go to get your annual exam, when women get their annual GYN exams, which you should get, ladies, don't let these doctors tell you.
Yes,
oh,
and men over 40 get your PSA test. Yeah. Okay, go on.
Yeah, some insurance companies, particularly Medicaid now in the United States, is trying to say, well, your exam was normal, we'll see you in 5 years.
What?
5 years. And I'm like, no. I tell women, I have a whole YouTube video on advocating for yourself, or having your caregivers advocate for you. You're saying, no, normal, not normal. I will see you next year, and I will fight the insurance company, or what have you. But some Medicaid insurances are fighting women who are trying to get their annual exams. They only want them to get them once every 5 years if it's normal. Well, the thing is with ovarian cancer, because in your ovaries, even they're now saying transvaginal ultrasounds, that's what I get once a year or once every, 2 years, because I'm considered high risk because of my mother. But even with that, ultrasounds are not sometimes the clearest pictures. So, a year or two can go by and they can see something that wasn't there last year. So there's nothing accurate. Even you can get an MRI of that area. That's what they're now saying, is to get an MRI or request an MRI of your, your urine area, your reproductive system, your ovaries. But it's not like cervical cancer where I can go to my gynecologist, get, different tests done, and they can say something was abnormal, come back, and they can test you, because they can see your cervix, they can get to your cervix. With ovarian cancer, they can't get to your ovaries, in a normal, in a normal exam at all.
Right.
So that's the challenge with just getting checked. There is no check. There is no, even the CA-125, which is the cancer antigen blood test they're telling women to get. You want to make sure it's like within a 35, range, no more than 40. For example, when my mom got hers, she never even heard of a CA-125. Her CA-125, I had misquoted it one time. I thought it was in the hundreds. It was actually a couple of thousand.
Wow. So
her CA-125 level was 2,000 plus. It should be like 35 to 40. But even they're saying CA-125 labs can't detect ovarian cancer right away. It's not a right away thing. So that is the biggest challenge that we are advocating for, is we need tests. We need, of course we're advocating for more treatments, but we want more, we need tests, period. Forget more tests. We need tests that are going to accurately screen and test women and girls and teens, for ovarian cancer, or just to see if they're at risk for ovarian cancer. And we're still not there yet. It's 2021. And we're still not there yet.
How much has the pandemic had on the treatment of ovarian cancer patients? Because obviously, and actually here's someone here saying, yes, unfortunately, the CA-125 is not very specific.
Hello, Dr. Ballard. She's a friend of mine, Joelle. She's actually a gynecologist. She is a licensed, so she could tell you. We get it. I get the CA-125 every year, but again, women can get it, have normal range, and have ovarian cancer. So that has been known. Like one lady said, I had ovarian cancer, did the CA-125, and my levels were still normal. My blood level was still normal, but luckily she was like stage 2. I think she was stage 2. But, my mom was stage 4, and here she was in 2,000 plus range. I mean, it was off the charts. It was off the charts. But in regards to treatments, what had really crushed my heart, it really broke my heart, was here in the United States, we have lots of cancer centers. There are some that specifically treat cancer, and so we have the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, for example. Before the pandemic, we had 5 of these centers around the country, and they're regionally placed in certain areas, like strategically placed. In the pandemic, we lost 2 of those centers. So, and what was a big one? The Philadelphia Center, which I was shocked. And I know of Tara.
What happened?
Loss of funding, money, which that's not computing with me, because I'm like, money should not be, you should be getting paid from
there's something. Okay, so man, you may or may not know, but are these hospitals that are no longer publicly or privately funded?
They're their own entity. So Cancer Treatment Centers of America, there's 5 of them. I have to see if they're privately.
There's a deeper story there.
There's a deeper story, because 2 of them closed. The Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania one closed. And what they did was they closed and sold, like the Philadelphia one just sold their assets to the Temple University health system. So Temple took over that, but it's the health system. This was a specific, center you went to just for cancer. And I know 2 people, and Tara was one of them. She went there for treatment.
Do you know if it's Temple's intent to keep the center running and doing the same sort of operations, or are they going to change it up?
That's what we're still waiting for, because this was like recent. Like, we're talking May 2021, this was announced that the Philadelphia Cancer Treatment Centers of America the assets were being sold off. And the other thing was 365 employees of that center. Yeah. Temple's trying to hire all of them, but there's not going to be a place for all 365 of these employees. So Can you make sure you back channel me with that information? Because there's a young man named Christopher Flood, the drummer Norris, who when he was very young started off coming on this program, and I somewhat mentored him, and now he works for the NPR affiliate in Philadelphia. Wow! Oh wow! Yeah.
Right. So I am very interested to know what the state of that medical facility is.
Yeah. I know it's like I know some people, not some, all the patients from there, because that was the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. For those who don't know what they are, they're like a one-stop shop. You can actually, my cousin, this month will be her 4th year that she passed away. She was flying from Ohio to Philadelphia, so she was going to that center to get treatment for her cancer. So people would fly in from places, and they would, organize your transport, find you a hotel to stay in. They had like the, integrative health things there, so you could get not just your chemo and radiation treatments and things of that nature and see your doctors, but you can get a vitamin IV infusion. For women who were losing their hair, they had a woman there who specialized in scalp treatments. And so they really did a deep dive in like treatment of the whole body. So to see 2 of those 5 centers go under, and being sold off or being taken over by other health systems, not knowing, will they still be a cancer treatment center? And if they were still wondering what's going to happen to all 365 of these employees, I doubt it. Because if they were just going to assume them and say, we'll just put our name on it and just keep operation going as usual, there would be no need for those 365 employees to look for work. So I was very disheartened when I read that. I just read it today. I was like, because I heard about, like, when you hear through the news wire, and I was hearing through like the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition, and they said, we're losing some of our centers that our women would go to for ovarian cancer. I said, what do you mean you're losing your centers in the pandemic? So now I'm having to find, here's another greater challenge. I'm having to find new doctors, a new center to go to because my center is being shut down. A place where I trusted and went to for years is no longer there.
So just sorry to interrupt. From your lens, is it being shut down? Why? The place that you go, why?
Yeah, I'm going to look deeper into it because some of it is saying funding. I think, like you said, there's a deeper backstory that hasn't been said because I'm like funding, I've heard of hospitals merging because of funding issues, but in a pandemic, I'm like, we need to keep our health systems going.
Yeah, that's just really strange. And, up here in Toronto, we have a number of hospitals, but a lot of them have merged. Like they become like two hospitals will merge and they say Rouge Valley Health Network.
Yeah.
But it's two hospitals.
Yeah. No,
right. Actually, here's I've got something here. Scarborough Health Network Foundation. So that's made up of 2 or 3 hospitals. They've collaborated together. But for hospital just to stop.
Yeah, to stop and say we're selling. That's the one thing I read crystal clear was they sold their assets to Temple University Health System.
Well, so Temple got more than enough money, but my concern is, what are they going to be changing the services that place is offering?
I wouldn't doubt if they do, because like I said, they offered integrative health, all kinds of treatments, and people were flying in. It was a regional cancer treatment center, so people were flying in from the region to go there. And I know Tara at one point went to Atlanta. That's another stop. So they have an Atlanta one and a couple of other ones, but only have 5 to begin with. I was hoping they would expand, if anything, because they are needed to go down from 5 to 3 in a pandemic as recent as this year.
There's something interesting there, because I have not in my journey heard of a hospital closing down.
Yeah, they were.
If anything, organizations like hospitals, universities, and colleges are, well, at least I can only speak from my Canadian experience, are cash rich.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what Temple University Health System is going to do with the can. And the one in Tulsa, they said the same thing. They sold their assets to another X, Y, and Z. But those women, I'm thinking of those who with ovarian cancer, GYN cancers, any cancer, that was where they were going. That was their place of peace. And they knew they can go here, there, their family would be taken care of. They would take good care of the caregivers there, and to start all over with a brand new health system in a pandemic. I mean, the stress load is already enough. Now I need to, find new doctors, or maybe my doctor is going over to Temple University Health System, but will they accept my insurance? Because that's another thing, it's a whole bunch of what ifs, so it really, that was news to me, that I wanted to share, that in this pandemic, we're losing health centers and systems that took care of our women that had ovarian cancer, GYN cancers, and everybody that has cancer. And they could be merging, but the merge could say, we no longer accept Medicaid. We no longer accept this. We no longer accept, we're not going to do integrative health. Sorry. It's now their rules, because the cancer treatment center is no more. It's now that, place's health system.
Okay.
Well, that was one. And another one I found out was a report came out about a major study that was taking place in Britain. Is out there in the UK, with like over 200,000 women. They were trying to track them to see if they could do early detection of ovarian cancer. And they followed them for 15 years. So this report just came out. And the unfortunate part was they were able to catch more in the early stages of ovarian cancer. But what the report was hoping they would show was by the end of the 15 years that it would have decreased the amount of deaths to ovarian cancer, and the amount of deaths it was still the same, if not increased over time. So they said, we were able to catch more early stages, but we still have the same amount of women we're losing every year to this cancer. So they said, the good news was, we're doing something to catch, try to see something in early stages. But the bad news is we're still at the same rate we were at years ago with the death rate. So, I mean, that was major to follow 200,000 women. They were all between ages of 50 to 74. So they were postmenopausal and menopausal. So I would be curious if they expanded that to 20s and 30s and 40s, because there are now more women being diagnosed in that age bracket.
Got it. Wow. Not a sunshiny picture you're giving us, and it doesn't seem that things have moved forward in the right direction since our last conversation about this subject.
It's kind of like at a standstill. The one thing I commend are the survivors and those who are in treatment. I mean, they have like the best attitudes. And I love how the survivors, they give back. They go back, like they do what Tara did. They go back and they help their women, their sisters, through this, and say, I was where you were. This is what worked for me, what didn't work for me. So the networking that I have seen over the pandemic has actually gotten tighter. It's gotten, people are now more virtual. They're talking to women worldwide. What worked for you? What didn't work for you? Let me try this. Let me talk to my doctor about that. So there's more conversations like that happening, which I applaud, and it took a pandemic to bring more women and more of us together, worldwide. But I wish the numbers changed. I wish I could say, since last year, instead of losing 14,000 plus women, we lost, 5,000. Or no, I would love for us to have a cure, one day. That is the ultimate goal, is to have a cure, so people don't have to be like me.
Well, is there research continuing? Do you know of research? Is there funding behind the research? Because I certainly get concerned when their hospitals are being closed. It's services. Is there still research? Dealing with ovarian cancer.
The big centers like the NIHs, and they are like committed to research in ovarian cancer. There's like the world. All the, just around the world. There are some places around the world I'm very concerned about, because there's definitely not enough research happening. Because I know Tachi, if she is to like chime on tonight or see the replay, there's not enough being done in Africa at all. I mean, just point blank. It's, and I know one thing I read today wasn't about ovarian cancer, it was about cervical cancer. And it said in a recent, report that a third of the cervical cancer deaths happening in the world are coming out of Africa alone, a third. So you're taking a third out of the whole entire globe, and it's coming from Africa. And that's because there's not enough research happening on the ground. A lot of the women there are being poorly misdiagnosed. They're not being diagnosed at all. They were saying there's not enough therapeutic services, period, in regards to gynecological anything happening in Africa. And that needs to stop, so United States, Canada, Europe, Asia, we have pretty good health systems. We're still not the numbers we need to be at, but we have, the continent of Africa, for example, that's in worse shape. They're not even able to catch cervical cancer good enough. And that's a cancer you could catch through annual exams. And that's because they're not encouraging their women to get checked annually, or their insurance is not allowing them to be checked annually, or what insurance, or doctors are, pushing them away, So that is, and you can never get real good numbers, statistic wise, in regards to gynecological cancers or anything of that nature when it comes from Africa. So that's the one thing that really, really disheartened me. And in Canada, the numbers have still changed, but it's pretty low. Like for example, like they're saying with diagnoses for Canada, 3,100 new cases. But then within like that same year, you can lose close to 2,000 women. That's a fraction of the women we're losing and being diagnosed here in the United States. But also what I am curious is women who are misdiagnosed and they're not diagnosed at all. And that's also not being caught, is that a woman who might have mysteriously passed away, and of what, and was it ovarian cancer? Was it a gynecological cancer? And that statistic does not go into the barrel of other statistics, or they're being like kind of pushed off with, oh, you're just going through menopause, you're just going through this. And unfortunately, it's not caught at all. So you have those statistics that are not being captured.
Wow. Well, as we start winding it up here, this has been another fast and furious but informative conversation. What are you seeing on the horizon going forward with ovarian cancer, and what would you like to happen? Because it can be two different things.
Yeah, I mean, everybody could tell you that's an advocate like myself. Of course, we want to see a cure. And I mean, that's for anything. We are in Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we would love to see a cure for all cancers. Like, can we just be diagnosed and say, oh, she has stage 3, stage 4, do this, do that, cured. And even with the gene mutations, because that's a whole other thing I talk about, is, I do tell people, if you can get, your genes tested, your insurance company may or may not pay for it. Mine paid for it because I'm considered high risk. But those tests to see your markers, the BRCA1, BRCA2, particularly is BRCA1 and 2. Those are the genes they really look for to see if it's mutated, because that could put you even at a higher risk for ovarian cancer and also breast cancer. And even with those, you can have a mutated gene and still never get ovarian cancer or breast cancer. And like I was saying, for example, a man can have a mutated BRCA1, BRCA2 gene. Of course, men can also get breast cancer. Some men are in denial about that, but they can. But they can't get ovarian cancer naturally. But you can pass that mutated gene on to your child. And your child could be your daughter, Or what I learned, I think I said this last year, if I didn't, it could skip a generation. So I tell people, I will never know if my mother had a mutated gene. I will never know. But let's say she did. I didn't, because I got tested. The BRCA1, BRCA2 is not mutated, but it could have skipped over me and went to my son. And let's say he has a mutated gene. He can't get ovarian cancer. Okay, but when he gets older and has kids, he can have a daughter and pass it on to her. So it could just skip generations, and it could do that, So, I tell people, I tell the men, be as equally educated about ovarian cancer and gynecological cancers for yourself and the women in your life and the girls in your life, and, spread awareness. Because I met now she's probably a teenager. I met a child who had ovarian cancer. She was 8 or 9 at the time. I met her parents. She was complaining about severe cramping, bloating. They thought it was just, digestive issues. And she had ovarian cancer. She's my son's age. And, fortunately, she was operable. They were able to get the tumors removed, but unfortunately, she had to have a full hysterectomy.
Oh, at what age?
She was like 9.
Come on.
Because that was the only way to remove. She was because she's small. So they were like, and they asked the mother, like, look, at this point, we have to remove her ovaries to say, to get these tumors out. And the parents said, they talked to her and they told her what would happen. Either way, you're not going to be able to have children biologically. So this little girl, now she's a teenager, and I met her. I met her back in 2019 and thriving. She was about 10 or 11 by that time, but she spoke at an event about her having cancer, ovarian cancer. And she was saying it does not discriminate. Don't think, because, my daughter's 8, 9, 15, 16. And they were also saying that might be something we're going to see now is a slow, uptick, because we're seeing it now. It's a slow uptick in younger ages, the teens, the 20s. And like I said, she was 8 or 9 with this cancer. So I want to see treatments, better treatments, more. I want to see treatments that are fast moving treatments. This is a fast moving cancer. We need fast moving treatments. And also more integrative health approaches. Some of these doctors are so scientific and stuck in the textbooks. Not all doctors, but sometimes, hey, Sorotachi, sometimes you have to step out the box and you need to treat the patient as a whole. You need to step out the box, period. Mm-hmm. So vitamins, minerals, nutrients, talking about food. We're foodies. I'm a foodie.
Yeah, diet. Like how important is, I guess, two-part conversation. Mm-hmm. How is important in diet to prevent ovarian cancer? And if one, okay, well, you're a living example here. Your diet, because you have ovarian cancer. So how can prevent? And if you do have it, what diet do you need to do to overcome it?
Yeah. Well, I have Lyme disease, but chronic Lyme disease.
Sorry.
But it's okay. But that was the one thing, just to share a bit of my mother's story, and many family members are on here. They're probably already shaking their heads yes. My mother did not have the best diet. So true New Yorker. I'm from Queens. We love pizza. We love Chinese food.
Yep.
Particular dishes of Chinese food too. I mean, to the point where the Chinese food delivery man knew my mother by first name.
Lord of mercy. And so what were some of your mother's favorite dishes?
She loved chicken fried rice.
Love it.
She loved, when I used to eat Chinese food, I love spare rib tips with fried rice. They're known for their wings in New York. So wings and I mean, they give you free stuff the more you order, but they would just give her free stuff, period, because she was Marguerite. Here you go, Marguerite. We love when you order from us. And to the point where when she passed away and we ordered Chinese food and the delivery guy, I answered the door. He asked for my mother. And I had to tell him.
Oh, my God.
That man cried at the door and said, I have been coming. He said, I remember you when you were in high school. I said, yep, I remember. I was like, we ordered from the family restaurant since high school. No. But they knew my family like that. But the thing was, this was not the most healthiest Chinese food, so.
I don't eat it as, it's interesting. I don't eat it as much as I used to. We order from a Hakka Chinese food place. Gotcha. And Hakka's, for those who don't know, it's Indian spices mixed with Chinese food. Is Hakka, people Chinese born in northern India. And I always, though, as much as possible, make sure our dishes with no MSG, and very little oil.
Yeah. And you figure I was in high school, late 80s, early 90s. So there was everything was MSG fried, whatever. So your diet plays a role in anything you do.
Everything.
I'm a health and wellness coach because of it. So, your diet, and, that's another show in itself, because people are like, oh, I have this condition, I'm going to go gluten-free. Everybody shouldn't go gluten-free. Everybody shouldn't go dairy-free, because that can make you sick, And Chinese food here is made for American taste, because I will tell you, people that come from China or like Asia, they don't like our Chinese food. They're like, what is this? And why? Because theirs is fresh. Like they're making fresh rice, fresh. So, if she had that kind of Chinese food or pizza, but a lot of processed food in my house. I didn't grow up in a household that really cooked a lot. I didn't get that until I went to college, and I had men teach me how to cook.
Isn't that strange?
So
a lot of that's probably a little different than the norm, because most people, when they're at home, the cooking happens at home. When you're in college,
I was going down the block to eat a lot in high school, because my friends were from the South. Their parents were from the South, and they cooked right from, like, they went to the fish market, they went and got the fresh chicken. But when I went to college from sophomore year through senior year, I lived in an apartment. And when the guys heard that I don't really know how to cook that well, they taught me how to clean chicken. And they taught me how to, like, make steak and this, that, and the third. And it was the men in my life. And my grandfather, even though I lived with him, he had a massive stroke in the early 70s. So he couldn't cook. So even though he knew how to cook, he couldn't cook, because his side of the family could burn. They could get down and cook. But again, I tell people, you don't have to have a health condition to eat right and get your health, that part in order. But it does help. It does help with women that have ovarian cancer, gynecological cancers, because certain foods inflame the system. We don't need these tumors inflamed. We don't need anything further inflamed. We're trying to de-escalate the problem. So food does play a major role. What you do, the amount of sleep you get, stress load, your job. I have known women, I've met survivors who said they quit their jobs as soon as they went into remission. And they said, we are deemed cancer free. We're chopping our jobs off because they just didn't. They said, we got a second chance at life. And I've met women who survived ovarian cancer that went skydiving, parasailing, mountain climbing. They went and did it. But I've met quite a few. They quit their jobs because they said, I'm not going to let my job try and kill me again. They were like, cancer already tried to kill me, but the job in itself will try and kill me. So a lot of lifestyle switches and changes, to help you out. So.
Well, you know what? I'd like to thank you as always for taking time out of your personal schedule, your Jordan schedule, your advocate special. Oh, I also got to tell people Dr. Tachi is here. So, I would be remiss to say, those who don't know, Dr. Tachi is the host of the livest online show that covers media, tech, and pop culture. It's called Mediascope. It's actually on every Wednesday, which is today. We're broadcasting on October 13th, 5 p.m. on Instagram Live. She does a pre-show, then live at 6 p.m. on, WJMS Radio.
Yes.
There's a gospel station in
the Bahamas.
YouTube. Facebook Live. LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn. Yep. You
got them all. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, I still get it right. I still get it right after all these years. That is amazing with all the growth. And Joy is saying, great conversation. Joy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joy. That means a lot coming from her. She actually, for women who are going through menopause or perimenopause, look her up. She is the menopause mogul, and she is helping women combat menopause more, in a healthier way. And has her whole business is now around helping women through perimenopause and menopause, so we don't have to suffer at all or suffer as much. So please check out Dr. Joyelle Ballard.
And if you want to get in contact with this spectacular lady, the two best places, website is serenawills.com. And then she also has Divine Wryte.com. And that's Divine, DIVINE, WYRYTE. So let me get it right. DIVINEWRYTRE.com.
He still got it wrong. It's okay.
Did I get it wrong again?
It's TRE. It's WRY.
Okay, let's do it 3 times. DIVINEWRYTE.com.
There we go. And it's
got it.
I'm a writer. I'm a creative. And why not? The why is for why not. I'm creative.
There you go.
You have the divine right of feeling well and living your very best. So
that should be your tagline.
Yeah, actually, I have a tagline.
That should be your tagline. You have a divine right.
Yes.
Divine right of living well. That is it. Joy says, thanks, sis.
You are welcome.
And Dr. Tachi says, that is fantastic. So
thank you,
she'll be on soon. Maybe she'll be on before the end of the year. We still got some time. Well, she's going to be back again soon.
Yeah,
she's coming back soon.
A whole other show.
What's the next time you're on? What's the next conversation topic we're going to be chatting about?
It's the last Friday in October. We're going to take a shift, a pivot. And I'm going to be talking about children with ADHD, raising a child with ADHD. And for those who don't know, that acronym is Attention Deficit and Hyperactivity Disorder. And my son, Jordan, has ADHD. And he was diagnosed at 6 or 7. I already knew before the diagnosis, but you have to wait till there's a certain age to get a certain diagnosis. But raising a child with ADHD and specific learning disabilities in this pandemic has not been easy. And I'm a single mother. Shout out to the single parents, period. And the ones who are the bonus parents, I call them, the bonus moms, the bonus dad, I give y'all props, because it's not easy raising a child, period. You're raising someone else's child. But me and my son have literally been attached at the hip since school was out March 13th of 2020. That was his last day of physical school. He is still in virtual schooling. So we're going to talk about ADHD, the challenges, what's out there, resources, and everything.
Well, folks, definitely, and make sure, as Dr. Chad says, I can imagine it's been challenging. Well, she definitely just shared, and she'll take a deeper dive.
Yeah,
So
he's my sunshine. Don't get me wrong. He is my black boy joy. But, you know, having to like contain that, you know, containing children, period, in this pandemic, but a child who has, you know, problems with attention. He needs to always be moving. He's used to being around friends, and he's had to be isolated. It's been very hard on our kids, and it's been hard on the parents. Please pray for me.
I can't wait to post that and promote that out so we can get out to a wide audience. It's going to be very, very important conversation.
Yeah,
so
7 p.m. We'll be here.
All right, that's on the 29th. So that's coming up.
That's right. It's
but
Halloween
follow either myself or Serena. Definitely, if you follow me on my YouTube channel or on Facebook, and you'll get notified when that conversation is going to be. And we'll see you soon. And thank you to Jordan for being occupied.
You see, you haven't heard anything.
Nothing.
The door down, and
so people, if you want to go back in history on the archives of the Dr. Wryte Show and see the first time Serena was on, it was a little bit of a challenge, but we're getting better at it.
He used to jump in. Yeah, he used to like jump in the show.
Yeah, he'd Jordan bomb.
Yes, he would get Jordan bombed every
show. We get Jordan bombed. All right, Serena, take care. Be well. Excellent. And thanks, everyone, for watching the conversation. Thank you, Dr. Tachi, for chiming in. Thank you so much. For everyone, if you want to get in touch with me, the absolute best place is at my website, thedrvibeshow.com. That's where you can catch all things Dr. Vibe, replays of my conversations, video-wise and audio-wise, are on the website. So I'd like to thank again Dr. Tachi and Joy for helping making this an epic conversation. Thanks to everyone who either watched it live or will be watching it live, the replay, or listening to the replay. I appreciate it, and I don't take it for granted. As always, I'd like to end off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect, and remember to give yourself grace. If you're watching this live, the next time I will be live is on Saturday night with State of Things with Aisha K. Staggers and Jill Jones. And again, please, 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 if you are comfortable, follow the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and on Facebook. I have to just say, passed a milestone on YouTube the other day. Over 670 followers. So I'm very humbled about that. And thank you for your support. It's not taken for granted. And if there are people you'd like to see on the Dr. Vibe Show, please get in contact with me, or show ideas or conversation ideas. I don't do shows, I do conversations. And again, one other plug, Wisdom app. Check it out. It may or may not be for you, but it's a great opportunity to be social and grow, and not only grow in you or grow through you. God bless, peace, well, keep the faith, and walk good.